Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to take a look at the Week 8 Thursday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings. This Thursday night, we got a game between the Redskins and the Vikings. We're going to go through and talk about some of my favorite plays on this Showdown slate. We'll talk through roster builds, like how I feel like you should be building out your lineup, who I think you should be playing at captain, whether you should be paying up or going for a cheap guy. I'll try and touch on everything in this video. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like down below, and feel free to let me know in the comments who is your top captain for this Showdown slate. Who's the guy that you're going to be playing at captain, whether you're paying up for like Dalvin Cook or Stephon Diggs or Kirk Cousins, or if you think there's viable cheap plays. You can comment those down below. You can also leave any feedback as well. If you want to critique this video, if there's things you think I could improve on, or if you just want to leave any kind words, I do always appreciate your guys' feedback. And if you are new to the channel, if you're someone that's new to my channel and have not subscribed yet, I would definitely appreciate it if you would subscribe and click the notification bell, so that way you get notified every time I upload. A lot of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed, so I would really appreciate it if you guys would subscribe and turn on notifications. But let's go ahead and take a look at this Showdown slate. So at the top, I'm definitely going to be looking for Dalvin Cook. He's a guy that I'm going to be playing a ton. I know he's going to be incredibly high owned. I know he's very expensive, but this is a great matchup for Dalvin Cook at home against a very bad Redskins. He should feast against this team. The Redskins have had one of the worst defenses this year, one of the worst run defenses. Cook pretty much every week continues to see 20-plus touches, gets a ton of carries. If the Vikings are ahead, we know they're a team that wants to run the ball as much as possible. So they're feeding Cook late in games, even in games where the Vikings are trailing and they kind of have to throw. They're still using Dalvin Cook a ton in the passing game. He gets targets every week. He's the player that I want to pay up for at captain if I can, because he's one of the highest upside plays on this slate, in my opinion. Him and Stephon Diggs, I think, are the two guys at the top that I want to pay up for at captain if possible. It will be hard to do so, though. Dalvin Cook, very expensive at the captain, $19,500. You're definitely going to need to find some cheap value. I do have some value plays that we will touch on later on in the video that should allow you to pay up for Cook at captain. But I'm not sure how many people are actually going to play him at captain because of how expensive he is. But I think he easily can give you 20 to 30 points again. I mean, Dalvin Cook just seems like every week he's getting you 20 to 30 DraftKings points. Even on his bad weeks, you're getting 15 to 20 from Cook. So he's one of the guys I want to pay up for at the top. He's a workhorse running back, massive home favorite. I mean, he's going to get 20-plus touches regardless of game script. If by some chance the Redskins are playing with a lead in this game, I mean, Cook's still going to be out there catching balls. You would expect, though, as 16-point home favorites, late in the game, the Vikings are going to have a lead. They're going to be feeding Dalvin Cook. So I really like him here at the top, the guy that I'm trying to pay up for. Obviously, one of the top plays on this slate. But then the next guy we're going to take a look at is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, another captain I do want to try and pay up for if possible. He's $16,500 at the captain, $11,000 in the flex. Right now, as I'm recording this video on Tuesday afternoon, Adam Thielen is looking doubtful to play. Diggs should be in line to see a ton of targets with Adam Thielen most likely out for this game. I am okay dropping down from Dalvin Cook to Stephon Diggs at captain if it does allow you to get the rest of your lineup how you want it. I believe there's like a $3,000 difference between playing Cook at captain and playing Diggs at captain. So those $3,000 in savings could come a long way, could allow you to upgrade somewhere in your flex. So if you want to drop down from Cook to Diggs at captain, I think it does make sense. I'll probably try and get as much Cook as I can at the top at captain, because I think he has the most upside out of anybody on this slate, and I think he's going to get fed a ton in this game. But Diggs, especially if Thielen's out, has a ton of upside as well. It's a great matchup. This Redskins secondary has been terrible this year. Josh Norman, if he lines up against Diggs, I mean, Josh Norman's just been terrible this year. I do think Diggs has just as much upside as Cook, but with how this game script should set up, with how the Vikings are 16-point home favorites, you would expect that in the second half the Vikings are going to have a big lead. They're probably just going to be running the ball a ton with Cook in the second half, so that might limit Diggs' upside a bit, just because the Vikings probably won't have to throw the ball a ton in this game. But Diggs still is very viable, especially if Thielen's out. He's obviously one of the top plays on the slate and a guy that you should be considering paying up for. But now we're going to take a look at Case Keenum. I think Case Keenum is the quarterback I'm going to be going to in this game. It's just so hard to pay up for Cousins unless you're going to not play Stephon Diggs or Dalvin Cook. And I think Diggs and Cook at the top are the two guys that I want to get to the most. I believe Cousins $12K on the slate just to play him in the flex. So you're getting $4,000 in savings. dropping down from Cousins to Keenum. Keenum's 12K at the captain, 8K in the flex. Keenum was terrible last week against San Francisco. I did watch a bit of that game, but that was a very tough matchup, and the field conditions in that game were terrible. It was raining very hard in that game. There was videos of guys like doing slip and slides. That's how wet the field was. I think there was only 9 total points scored in that game. So that's kind of why Keenum struggled so bad last week. I mean, it was a tough matchup to begin with, and it was raining like crazy. This matchup isn't that easy either. I mean, the Vikings do have a very good defense, but at least the game is indoors. Usually indoor games tend to shoot out more than other games. Not saying this game's going to shoot out, but I think the Redskins could keep this within like 2 scores. Right now, I they're 16-point underdogs, and they do have like a 13 implied team total. I think they probably do score more than 13 points here. I'd say the final score is probably going to be like 31-17 or something. I do like going to some of these Redskins receivers because I feel like the Redskins are going to be playing from behind a lot in this game. I did have a lot of interest in some Jets receivers in the in the Monday night game against the Patriots. That obviously didn't work out. I mean, the Patriots just crushed the Jets. Sam Darnold was absolutely terrible in that game. I know Demaryius Thomas was like the one Jets receiver that did well, but other than that, a lot of the other Jets receivers were pretty bad. I don't see that being the case here. I don't think the Vikings are just going to absolutely steamroll the Redskins. I think the Redskins are at least going to get into the end zone once or twice. I think Keenum could be a viable QB option. Aside from last week where he was terrible against the 49ers and with the bad field conditions, and then I believe it was week 6 or week 5 against the Giants when Case Keenum got hurt and Dwayne Haskins came in. In the 2 games besides those 2 games, he's been pretty good this year. He's given you a solid floor of about 14 to 15 DraftKings points. I think he definitely makes sense at quarterback on this slate. Indoors with a positive game script, going to have to throw a lot. I could see Keenum going for like 200, 300 yards, and maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. So he's the quarterback that I prefer. You're going to need those savings. It's going to be hard to pay up for Cousins if you want to get Cook and Diggs as well. So now the next guy we're going to take a look at is Olabisi Johnson. Not even sure if that's how you say his first name, but Olabisi Johnson, very cheap, 9,300 at the captain, 6,200 at the flex. So he should be one of the biggest beneficiaries of Adam Thielen, most likely out for this game. Like I said, I'm recording this on Tuesday. Adam Thielen's not confirmed out yet, but it looks like he's going to be on the doubtful side. I'd be very surprised if he plays here, especially in a game where the Vikings should easily be able to win. But last week, Johnson did get 8 targets after Thielen got injured. Thielen only played like 8 or 9 snaps before he got injured. Johnson got 8 targets, went for 4 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown, scored 14 DraftKings points. So he had a very solid game for most of the game when Thielen was out. Redskins defense overall, towards the bottom of the league. I mean, one of the worst defenses in the league. Their secondary, not very good either. Josh Norman's been terrible. A lot of their other corners have struggled this year. I could see using Johnson as a cheap captain to fit in the studs you want. Like I said, he's 9,300 at captain. If you play him at captain, that probably will allow you to pay up for Cousins, Cook, and Diggs. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't looked to try and build out that lineup yet. You probably need to find a couple cheap guys, but if you went with Johnson at captain, that'd probably at least allow you to get in 2 of the top 3 guys, whether you go with Cook, Diggs, or Cousins. You'd probably be able to get 2 of those 3. So I could for sure see using Johnson at the captain, because I think he could definitely go for like 6 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown, get you like 18 to 20 DraftKings points. And if he does that at his price tag, could wind up being one of the top captain plays as long as Dalvin Cook doesn't go like nuclear. So Johnson has a cheap value regardless whether you want to just play him in the flex or use him at captain. I think he's going to be a really good option, especially if Adam Thielen is out. But now the final 2 guys we're going to talk about are both very cheap flex plays that I have some interest in. So I do like Quinn as a cheap flex play, only 3,600. You look at his game log, it's pretty gross. The game log's not good. I don't think he has a single game over double-digit DraftKings points. Maybe week 1. I think week 1 he actually did have like 12 or 13 DK points. But other than week 1, it's just been in the single digits for Quinn. The game log's pretty gross, but it's a 1-game showdown slate. Our value options are pretty limited. There's not a lot of cheap plays that you feel great about, and you obviously want to try and get those expensive guys in at the top, whether it's Cook, Diggs, or Cousins. Right now, Quinn is still playing over 50% of snaps pretty much every week. Last week against the 49ers, I believe he played like 29 out of 50 snaps. So just over 50% of the snaps last week. Given how bad the Redskins are, you do expect them to be trailing this game. I mean, they're 16-point underdogs. They're going to be trailing for most of this game. they're going to be forced to throw. I could see Keenum having to throw over like 30, 35, 40 times in this game. Quinn should be looking at least 4 to 6 targets. Pretty much every week he's getting 4 to 6 targets, so he's at least seeing enough volume to where he could pay off this price tag. I mean, even if he gets you like 4 catches for 40 yards, that could be enough at only 3,600. Especially if the plays around him don't go off, like if the kickers don't have a great game or if the defenses don't do well. Trey Quinn could be a good value at only 3,600. He's definitely a guy I'll be looking to. He's going to be on the field. The Redskins are going to have to throw in this game. We could definitely see Quinn put up at least a decent enough game to where he pays off this price tag. So as a cheap flex play, I'll for sure be looking to Trey Quinn at 3,600. And then the last cheap flex play I want to talk about is Wendell Smallwood. He's only 1,800. I think he's one of the better cheap viable options that we have on this slate. As I am recording this video on Tuesday, Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson, both of those guys are questionable to play for the Redskins come Thursday. I think as long as Chris Thompson sits, Wendell Smallwood's probably one of the better value options available. And if they're both out, he's probably like the value play that you want to play a ton of. Because if Peterson and Thompson are both out, I don't even know who their other running backs would be. I know they have Smallwood. I think they have somebody else as well. It'd probably be Smallwood, though, getting a lot of the work if both of the guys were out. But as long as Thompson sits, they're going to use Wendell Smallwood as the pass down back. He's going to be used a lot in the passing game. And I've been saying it the whole video, the Redskins are going to have to throw in this game. They should be using Smallwood a ton. I don't see them running Adrian Peterson up the middle 20, 25 times in this game, because I just don't think game script is going to allow them to do that. They're going to have to throw at some point in this game. So I do like Smallwood a lot. If Chris Thompson's out, I think he's probably one of the best value plays on the slate. If Chris Thompson plays, then you probably want to get off of Smallwood, because if Chris Thompson plays, he's pretty much going to take Smallwood's spot, and he's going to be the pass down back. But I have a pretty good feeling one of those two is going to be out. It looks like Thompson's most likely going to be out for this game. So really have a lot of interest at Wendell Smallwood at only 1,800. But those are just some of my favorite plays for this Thursday Night Football Showdown slate. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do really appreciate it. You'll notice on the screen right now, I have one of my more recent videos popping up on the screen. If you want to check that video out, feel free to do so. You can also hover over my logo to subscribe to the channel. You can leave any comments, any questions, any feedback down below in the comment section. Like I said at the beginning, I always appreciate your guys' comments and your guys' feedback. But anyways, good luck tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.